My mom asked me to grab her glasses from a drawer. Instead, I found their will. My name was gone. Everything went to my brother. 7 years, $38,000. That night, I stopped sending money, and my family lost their mind. I wasn't supposed to find the document. Mom had asked me to grab her reading glasses from the desk drawer while she recovered from her hip surgery. Instead, I found their updated will, dated 3 months ago. My name appeared nowhere in the inheritance section. Everything, the house, the savings, Dad's vintage car collection, went to Eric. My younger brother, who'd never held a job longer than 6 months, who still borrowed grocery money at 25. I read it twice, then a third time. 7 years of sending them $500 monthly. 7 years of covering their mortgage when Dad's back injury kept him out of work. 7 years of skipping vacations so they could keep their house. "Did you find them?" Mom called from the living room. "Yeah, found what I was looking for." I folded the papers back into their envelope, grabbed her glasses. She smiled when I handed them over. "You're such a good son, Jake. Always taking care of us." The words hit differently now. Good sons apparently got written out of wills, while irresponsible ones inherited everything. That evening, I sat in my apartment staring at my bank statements. $38,000 over 7 years, more than Eric had ever contributed to anything. I'd postponed buying my own place, delayed marriage plans with Sarah, lived in this cramped one-bedroom so my parents could keep their suburban dream. My phone buzzed, a text from Eric. "Can you spot me 200? Car payments due." For the first time in years, I typed back, "No." 3 dots appeared immediately, then, "Come on, man, it's just until Friday." I turned my phone face down and opened a beer. The document's words echoed, "To our beloved son Eric, who will carry on the family legacy." What legacy? The legacy of taking without giving? The legacy of expecting others to solve your problems? I grabbed my laptop and started researching apartments. Real apartments, with space for the life I'd put on hold. Sarah deserved better than this cramped place. I deserved better than being the family ATM with no seat at the table. My phone kept buzzing with Eric's increasingly desperate texts. I ignored them all. Tomorrow, I'd have a conversation with my parents. Tonight, I'd plan my exit strategy from 7 years of one-sided generosity. Sunday dinner felt different when you knew where you stood. I watched Mom fuss over Eric's plate, piling on extra mashed potatoes while Dad asked about his latest business venture, selling energy drinks to gym bros. "Jake's been so quiet tonight," Mom observed, finally noticing I'd barely touched my food. "Just thinking." I set down my fork. "About the will." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Dad's jaw tightened. Eric looked confused, still chewing. "What will?" Eric asked. "The one where you inherit everything and I get nothing." Mom's face went pale. "Jake, we can explain." 7 years, Mom. $38,000. I covered your mortgage, your medical bills, your car repairs, and Eric gets the house. "Now hold on," Dad interrupted. "Eric's younger. He needs more help getting established." I laughed, but it came out bitter. "Established? He's 25 and just asked me for car payment money yesterday. When exactly does this establishment phase end?" Eric shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't know about any will." "Of course you didn't. You never have to know about the hard stuff. Someone else always handles it." "That's not fair," Mom said. "Eric has different challenges." "Different challenges." I stood up. "Like the challenge of never having to be responsible for anything? The challenge of knowing your big brother will always bail you out?" "Sit down, Jake." Dad's voice carried that old authority, the tone that used to make me comply immediately. "Not tonight. I've been sitting down for 7 years while you two figured out how to cut me out of the family I've been supporting." "We're not cutting you out," Mom pleaded. "You're successful. You have your career, your apartment. My tiny apartment that I kept because I was sending you $500 a month. The career I almost lost working overtime to cover your emergencies. The engagement I postponed because I couldn't afford a decent ring. The silence stretched. Eric stared at his plate. Dad's hands clenched into fists. "We thought you understood," Mom whispered. "Family takes care of family." Apparently only in one direction. I grabbed my jacket. Thanks for dinner, and for the clarity. I left them sitting there, the weight of 7 years lifting off my shoulders with each step toward the door. The phone started buzzing at 6 a.m., text after text, each one a masterclass in emotional manipulation. "Mom, your father didn't sleep all night. His blood pressure is through the roof." "Mom, I don't understand how you can be so cruel to the people who raised you." "Mom, Eric is devastated. He had no idea about the will. Don't punish him for our decisions." I deleted each message without responding, but they kept coming. "Dad, 35 years of marriage and you're going to destroy our family over money?" "Dad, your mother is crying. Is this what you wanted?" "Dad, we can talk about the will. Don't throw away your family." By noon, Eric joined the campaign. "Eric, dude, what's going on? Mom's having a panic attack." "Eric, I told them to change the will. I don't want the house if it means losing my brother." "Eric, please just call them back. They're falling apart." I set the device on my kitchen counter and made coffee. Through my apartment window, I watched normal families walking their dogs, kids riding bikes, families where love wasn't conditional on financial contribution. Sarah called during lunch. "Your mom reached out to me. She's worried about you." "She's worried about her monthly check." "That's harsh, Jake." "Is it? When did she ever call you before? When did any of them show interest in our relationship until the money stopped?" Sarah went quiet. We'd had this conversation before, about my family's demands, their expectations, the way they treated me like a resource instead of a person. "What do you want to do?" she asked finally. "I want to stop being their safety net. I want to start our life without subsidizing theirs." "I support whatever you decide." Another text came in. Mom again. "We're coming over tonight. This needs to be resolved face to face." I typed back quickly. "Don't. I'm not ready to talk." Mom. "We'll be there at 7. This is our family." I stared at that last message. Our family. The same family that had planned my exclusion for months without mentioning it. The same family that expected my continued support, despite writing me out of their future. At 6:30, I turned off my phone and went for a walk. They could sit in the parking lot all they wanted. I wasn't ready to be manipulated back into compliance. They were waiting by my door when I returned at 8:30, Dad pacing while Mom sat on the hallway floor. The sight of her there, looking fragile and defeated, hit exactly the way she'd intended. "We've been here an hour," Dad said. "Your phone's going straight to voicemail." "Because I turned it off." I pulled out my keys. "I told you I wasn't ready to talk." "Well, we're ready," Mom said, struggling to her feet. "This has gone on long enough." Against my better judgment, I let them in. They filled my small living room like storm clouds, Dad examining my sparse furniture while Mom perched on the edge of my couch. "This place is so small," Mom observed. "No wonder you're unhappy." "I'm unhappy because you excluded me from the will while I was paying your bills." "The will isn't set in stone," Dad said. "We can revise it." "That's not the point. The point is, you made that decision without considering what I'd sacrificed. You planned my exclusion while cashing my checks." Mom started crying. "Right on schedule. We never meant to hurt you." "But you did hurt me. You've been hurting me for years, taking my help for granted while treating Eric like the golden child." "We don't play favorites," Dad insisted. I walked to my desk, pulled out a folder. Bank statements, receipts, a detailed spreadsheet I'd made years ago to track my contributions. $38,000 from me. Eric's lifetime contribution to this family, 0. Dad glanced at the papers. "Money isn't everything. It is when you don't have it. It is when you're working 60-hour weeks to cover someone else's mortgage. It is when you're postponing your own life to maintain theirs. We never asked you to do that, Mom said. You didn't have to ask. You just expected. Every emergency, every crisis, every time Eric screwed up, somehow it became my responsibility to fix. I grabbed my key card from the counter, the plastic rectangle that represented my access to this building, this space they'd invaded, my sanctuary that wasn't sacred anymore. I need you both to leave. Jake, Mom started. Leave. Now. We'll talk when I'm ready, not when you decide to ambush me. Dad's face flushed red. Don't you dare speak to your mother that way. I'll speak to both of you the way you've earned, as people who took my generosity and threw it back in my face. They left finally, but not before Mom delivered one last guilt bomb. I hope you're happy, destroying your family over money. I locked the door behind them and leaned against it. My hands shook as I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls, 43 unread texts. I deleted them all. The Facebook post wrote itself. I'd been composing it in my head for 3 days, every manipulative text adding another paragraph. I opened my laptop, logged in, and started typing. Some of you have asked why I've been distant lately. Here's why. I discovered my parents excluded me from their will while I've financially supported them for 7 years. $38,000 of my income went to their mortgage, medical bills, and emergencies. Meanwhile, my younger brother, who's never held a job longer than 6 months, inherits everything. When I confronted them, the response was manipulation. Guilt trips about destroying the family, claims that I should understand because I'm more successful, tears, threats, and emotional blackmail. I'm sharing this because toxic family dynamics thrive in silence. For years, I believed I owed them unlimited support because family takes care of family. But that only worked one direction. I was the ATM, not the son. To my friends who've watched me postpone my life, work myself into exhaustion, and turn down opportunities because I was helping family, this is why. I was trapped in a cycle where my value was measured by my contributions, not my worth as a person. I'm done. No more monthly checks, no more emergency bailouts, no more subsidizing people who see me as a resource instead of a son. If you're in a similar situation, know this. You don't owe anyone your financial future. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Family that only values what you provide isn't family. It's exploitation. I'm choosing myself for the first time in 7 years. It feels terrifying and liberating simultaneously. I read it twice, then hit post before I could lose my nerve. The phone started ringing immediately. Eric first, then Mom, then Dad. I let them all go to voicemail. Within an hour, the post had 23 likes and 16 comments. Friends sharing their own stories, family members choosing sides, acquaintances suddenly understanding why I'd seemed so stressed for years. Sarah texted, "I'm proud of you." This took courage. My cousin Rachel commented, "About time someone called out the golden child treatment. We've all seen it." Uncle Mike, Dad's brother, wrote, "Your parents are devastated. Family business should stay private." I typed back, "Their business became public when they made me their financial plan without consent." The responses kept coming, some supportive, some critical, all proof that I'd finally taken control of my own narrative instead of letting them write it for me. My phone buzzed with another call from home. I declined it and opened my laptop again. Time to start apartment hunting for real. 3 weeks later, I signed the lease on a 2-bedroom apartment across town. Real hardwood floors, a kitchen with actual counter space, windows that let in morning light. Sarah helped me pack, carefully wrapping the few possessions I'd accumulated during 7 years of financial sacrifice. "No regrets?" she asked, taping up a box of books. "None." I folded my work shirts, the ones I'd worn through countless overtime shifts to fund my parents' lifestyle. I should have done this years ago. My phone had finally stopped buzzing with family drama. The Facebook post had forced the conversation into the open, where manipulation tactics lost their power. Hard to guilt-trip someone when everyone can see the pattern. Eric had actually reached out privately, asking to meet for coffee. He seemed genuinely shaken by the revelation of how much I'd contributed while he'd coasted. We had a tentative coffee planned for next week, maybe the first honest conversation we'd ever had. Mom and Dad had gone silent after the initial fury. Uncle Mike reported they were hurt and confused, which translated to angry their strategy stopped working. The document that had started everything sat in my desk drawer now, a reminder of what happened when you mistake being used for being loved. I'd made copies before returning the original, evidence of the moment I'd learned my worth in their eyes. Moving day arrived with September sunshine and the kind of crisp air that promised new beginnings. Friends showed up to help, the same friends who'd watched me sacrifice for years without understanding why. Now, they knew. "This place is amazing," Sarah said, spinning around the empty living room. "We can actually have people over. We can actually have a life." As I carried the last box up the stairs, my phone rang. Mom's contact photo appeared on the screen, a picture from Christmas 2 years ago, when I'd still believed we were a normal family. I declined the call. Later, I'd be open to rebuilding something with them, but it would be on equal terms, with clear boundaries, and only after they acknowledged what they'd done. No more emergency bailouts, no more emotional manipulation, no more treating my bank account like their personal safety net. I unpacked my coffee maker first, then my laptop. Sarah found my good sheets and started making the bed in our new bedroom. Not mine, ours. The bedroom I could finally afford because I'd stopped subsidizing other people's choices. The evening sun streamed through windows that belonged to me, in a space I'd earned through my own work, not my family's approval. I made coffee in a kitchen where every appliance was mine, where every bill would be my responsibility and mine alone. For the first time in 7 years, I was choosing myself, and it felt like coming home.